Hello everybody and welcome to Absolute Sim Racing for the 6th round of the BSR Tegiwa MX5 trophy. We are here at the Austrian Grand Prix circuit, otherwise known as the Red Bull Ring. And I'm really looking forward to this. I'm Edward May, and joining me in the commentary box as ever is the wonderful Dan Hanover. And Dan, great to be here for the first time in BSR history at this brand new, in fact, to iRacing Red Bull Ring.
Absolutely good to be back, everyone. Thank you as always for having us. Yes, indeed, Red Bull Ring, a circuit that I've not actually personally driven in iRacing yet. I have driven it in the past in various other sims. However, this will be a very first for iRacing. It's going to be good fun though, as I'm sure it always is. And I think the MX5 is actually going to suit this because it's very high momentum. It's a very high momentum sort of track, isn't it, Ed?
Yeah, it is. And these little MX5s, of course, they don't have the straight line speed and the cornering ability that the Formula One cars that go around here have, but they still make up for that with good close racing. A fairly wide circuit as well, you have to say, at the Red Bull Ring, and that means that you're going to be seeing action 2 wide, 3 wide. I thought, but potentially 4 wide going into certain corners. You know that turn 3 is going to be the real action zone after the end of that long straight. I mean, it's heavy braking zone. It's all going to kick off, that's for certain. But we have, of course, the championship standings here on your screens now. And this is after all of the racing, all of the action taking place at the 5th round at Bathurst. You can see Jason Cooper takes the championship lead thanks to Ben Sharp's absence. He was down in Milan for the World Endurance Championship. It was the 400-point swing in favour of Jason Cooper. Ben Sharp still second place. Arthur Panzel did well. Didn't have the easiest time of things at Bathurst, but still comes through for a good 3rd place overall in the current championship standings, ahead of Tom Griffiths and Luke Cooper, with Michael Seal besting the rest in the Pro-Ams, but only just ahead of Sam Smith. So the Pro-Am Championship is looking very close indeed here, Dan.
Well, it is indeed. Like I said, you can't argue with that. There's not a lot in it. Really, there's not a lot in it with the pros. Obviously, Cooper with Sharp. Again, 88-point difference. That is a very, very small margin, considering how long we have left of this season as well. I'm actually looking at it, to be fair, I mean, 400 points separate the top 12. Or Nick Poston's actually, if we have a look there, P13, he is on 1,000 points exactly. They're 413 points separate the top 13. I mean, to be fair, that's a good race weekend, isn't it? Realistically, that's a good round for someone. They can gain maybe not 400 points, but they can gain a fair chunk of points. So it's still all to play for, even down in P10, P11.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the drivers that scored the most points last time out was Jason Cooper, scoring 328 points. So he was able to claw back that margin to Ben Sharp and get himself into the championship lead. Michael Seal scored 317 points. So yeah, on a good race weekend, you can definitely find yourself scoring upwards of 300 points, which is a big swing, isn't it, in the championship. We're seeing some of the drivers out on track now. Notable absentee yet again. Ben Sharp not able to make it. His flight back from Italy was apparently delayed. The exemption form that he got apparently in the airport wasn't having it, so he's not been able to get back in time to come to the Austrian Grand Prix circuit. The Red Bull Ring won't have Ben Sharp out on the circuit this evening, so that even more plays into the hands of Jason Cooper, who's currently 3rd in this qualifying session, as Lee Holmes actually goes top of the pile, Pro-Am driver, showing some very quick pace here.
Absolutely. I'm just having a look as well, looking through the last sector. Nick Postons, he had a couple of purple sectors as well, but yeah, Lee Holmes really taking the fight straight away out of the gates. Gives you a good amount of confidence as well, especially, I mean, you look at the gap as well, 0.2 of a second already. I know we've still got half of qualifying left to go, or over half of qualifying left to go, but 0.2 is a very, very sizable margin. And then when you look a bit further down, if we were to now go to the gaps that you can see there, so look on the left-hand side, top 3, well, Lee Holmes is half a second, nearest makes no difference, away from Jason Cooper. Now that puts a very, very, very good, it just gives you a bit of a confidence boost, regardless where to be fair, regardless whether you end up in qualifying, if you end up first or third or fifth, whatever, if you're able to put that sort of lap time in straight out of the gates, I think that actually puts you in very, very good stead for the start of each race, because you're able to switch it on that little bit more. You're able to give the car just a little bit more, potentially, than some of the other drivers. So that could play very, very well into the hands of Lee Holmes if he can continue with that sort of pace straight out of the box.
That is, of course, if he can. It's a lot easier said than done, isn't it? You know that the BSR MX5 Tegiwa Trophy throws up a few surprises for some of the drivers, catches people out. Andy McEwen is not really doing caught out too much. There was one time at Bathurst, of course, where he was involved in an incident on the first lap. I think all of his good fortune ran out on race 3, but he fought back nicely and scored some great points and goes top of the pile. Pole position provisionally for Andy McEwen as Jason Cooper goes 8 thousandths slower. Such fine margins. Blink and you'll miss it. That's the difference between Andy McEwen and Jason Cooper. And if you can get a front row start, this is going to be brilliant for one of the real contenders for the Pro-Am Championship.
This is very, very true. Looking as well, Nick Postons, he's just currently done a purple Sector 1, so keep an eye out for him. We're going to ride on board with him for the rest of this lap, because Red Bull, it's such a good circuit. So much goes on here as well. It looks to be a relatively simple circuit. He's actually backed out of this lap, not entirely sure why. Maybe to let his tit out.
I think let through Andy McEwen.
Very, very true. Yeah, so I think realistically, if you're able to get in a position where it's a simple track, but at the same time, it's not a simple track. You've got elevation change. You've got very, very fast, even medium to sort of fast corners pretty much throughout the entire circuit. So there's a lot of, you have to be consistent, and you also have to be very, very precise. These medium to high speed corners, that's where it takes a little bit more. You have to just make sure you're a little bit more pinpoint. There's less margin for error. If you're going into a slower corner, going to a hairpin, you're traveling slower. You've got more time to be able to react to these sort of things and any potential adjustments you have to make. As soon as you get into a medium to high speed corner, completely changes. Your outlook has to change. You have to be quick, and you have to react quick. And
Definitely.
I think this is going to be an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, and I've just been seeing this second half of the lap for Andy McEwen has looked very quick indeed. Just the final corners to go. We can see him just up the road. Will this be an improvement to him? He's getting a little bit of a slipstream from the car in front, and as he makes it across the line,
no, it's close.
There's no improvement. It was close, a very thin margin, just half a tenth really between Andy McEwen's two previous best lap times. As Jason Cooper goes top of the pile, almost into the 1 minute 47, so 1 minute 48.006. What a lap time that is from Jason Cooper, go 1.5 tenths of a second better than Andy McEwen. A very quick lap there from Jason, but he's also been able to get the benefit from several cars up in front, all towing one another. That just shows how strong the slipstream will be around this circuit. It's going to be key, isn't it, in this qualifying session with only 5 minutes still to go.
Indeed, it will be. Although I think Jason Cooper might not have timed it right this time out, because he is he's a considerable margin closer. That was one of the cars moving over to the right hand side. I couldn't quite see who that was, but Jason
Cooper,
his
teammate. That was Luke Cooper getting out of the way.
That'll be why it was such an easy pass there as Luke Cooper moved over to the right hand side. So that's one car dispatched. He might be okay. He hasn't put any purple sectors in that we see. Although I just having a look at Jason Cooper's sector times. I mean, his last sector is 0.2 of a second faster than anyone else out on circuit. So it goes to show that Jason Cooper, he's really got that last sector hooked up quite considerably, and it is paying dividends to him. So we'll have to see again if he can match that or if he can better that time. He's just put a purple sector 2 in. This may be even quicker. It could very well be. Let's ride on board for the remainder of the lap. 2 more corners to go. Again, he is having the use of the slipstream, not run too wide, which he may have done there. I'm not entirely sure what track limits are, but he seems to be going okay.
Just gotten away with it. I think he might be okay. He's getting a nice bit of tow, isn't it, from James Neef up in front. This could be an even faster lap time from Jason Cooper. Are we going to see him dip into the 47s? Yes, we do, by some margin. A 47.553. And that is a real statement of intent for the rest of the field. Andy McEwen doesn't seem to have an answer. He's in the pit lane. Closest competitor actually out on circuit trying to set a lap time will be Lee Holmes, but he doesn't have an answer either. So what a lap time that was from Jason Cooper. I'm glad we caught the tail end of that, because he was just on the lines of what's acceptable in terms of track limits through that second to last and last corner. He really knows the circuit and has been able to show exactly that by putting in an amazing lap time. Further down the field, well, there's a bit of a pro-am skirmish there. There's Adam Fox we're just following at the moment, and then there's quite a few AMs as well. Best of the AMs at the moment is Linscombe Hatfield, actually, the 718 car, currently sitting in 12th overall, first in class. Very good time set by him, of course. And then, well, just look at the array of pro-ams all behind Jason Cooper, Andy McEwen, Lee Holmes, Michael Seal, Nick Postins, Craig McDonald, all within, well, easily fit inside 0.3 of a second, and that can easily be made up if you get the sectors hooked up nicely, if you can follow the old mantra of slow in, fast out, carry the momentum through like you need to on these medium and high speed corners. Andy McEwen could find himself dethroned from the front row.
To be fair, like when you look at it, absolutely, you haven't got too much time to make up, and you're looking at potentially. I mean, Michael Seal, he's just done a purple. He's done a best second sector. It's not purple, although I don't think much will beat Jason Cooper's lap time. To be fair, as we heave Linscombe Hatfield come into the pits, yeah, half a second can even at the front of the field. I mean, half a second is you're talking, you know, from 10th down into, as you say, on the front row. So it's so close. I mean, 13 and a half minutes have gone. So everyone's only going to get one more lap. Andy McEwen, look at that, though. You can just see on the timing tower to the left-hand side, on an out lap, he's going to have one more flying lap. Interesting, though, he may have timed it just slightly off because I think it takes about 3 laps for the tyres really to get up to temperature, unless Andy McEwen knows something that we don't.
It depends on the circuit, and of course, with recent tyre changes for this season, it actually can favour these MX5s for the first lap. That hasn't always been the case. I remember last season, drivers did say it took about 2 or 3 laps to get the tyres into the window, but I think here they can be fresh out of the box if you can get it all sorted. Andy McEwen, yep, starts his final flying lap of this qualifying session when his rivals, Lee Holmes, Michael Seal, Nick Postins, all in the pit lane. Craig McDonald as well out on a lap, so we'll keep our eyes on him as we also keep our eyes on this man. Oh, no, we shift away from Adam Fox and go.
Let's go back to him.
To Craig McDonald, and then coming back to him as he's coming towards the end of the lap. I think he's timed this to perfection. He's going to be one of the final runners in this qualifying session to complete a lap. Yep, about 20 seconds to go through the final couple of corners, as well as Jason and Luke Cooper in the background will be coming through to start their final qualifying laps. I think just in time. We'll see if they've been able to get it. And look at that, they're going to be the final 2 to cross the line and to get their next qualifying laps. So their final qualifying laps underway. Look at that, as the checker flag is waved. They've already passed the line. They have this lap still to complete, as I think Andy McEwen is going to finish his qualifying session. Just getting a bit of a slipstream from the car in front. Not quite sure which one that is. Looks to be the 85. The 85 of... I'm not sure who it is, actually.
Craig McDonald, that is Craig McDonald. Both these cars are on hot laps, so this is actually going to be quite an interesting... I wonder if Craig McDonald is going to move out the slipstream. I think he does, yes. So Andy McEwen, he was only 0.3 off. He was very close, but I think Jason Cooper has just gone possibly...
Oh, and Andy McEwen.
No, he does.
After Craig McDonald was so kind to let Andy through, Andy decides, you know what, I'm going to just peel off into the pits. So that is going to be it for Andy in this qualifying session. He's going to be holding on, though, to second place, a front row grid start. Going to be in the prime position to get the nice slipstream off of Jason Cooper on the opening lap. Maybe send a move down the inside into turn 3 and take the lead of the race. Who knows? Maybe it was planned from Andy McEwen to leave those 0.6 of a second out on the circuit.
Possibly could have been. James Clark, currently in P23, he is on, at the moment, he's just done a personal best first sector. So I have to see, he's currently on a 150.41. So we'll have to see again on your screen now. Jason Cooper, you can see in P1, he's not setting any purple sectors. I'm sure he's not really going to mind, considering he has cleared the field by about 0.6 of a second. So, last person to cross the line will be indeed James Clark, who just managed to get over the line before the lights dropped. What is his Sector 2 going to be? Is it going to be another personal best sector as he comes through the end of sector 2. You can see just on the bottom of the screen it will go green or orange. It's another green. That's good. So 2 out of 3. I wonder what it's going to be like going through. Just manages to get the car pitched in. You can really utilise the curve on the right hand side. The car
He's a little bit late getting onto the throttle though, isn't he, James?
True, just a fraction. Yep.
And I'm not sure if he actually did get across the line in time. We'll see, because it looks like it's going to be an improvement from James Clark, but I don't know if he was able to get along just in time. And, well, that will certainly put an end to his lap. Even if it was a valid one, it won't be now. Running very wide out of the second to last corner. So across the line, he'll stay in 23rd position with a lot to do in the first race. But, of course, it's a circuit that you can overtake on. Plenty of opportunities to slipstream and send it down the inside.
Send it is indeed the word to use. But we do have race 1 coming up. So, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be good fun. Let us run you through the grid for race 1 of the British Sim Racers Tegiwa MX5 trophy here at Red Bull Ring as it comes up. So Jason Cooper on pole position, Annie McEwen P2 with Lee Holmes in P3 for 88 Tech, Michael Seal P4 with Nick Postens in P5, Craig McDonald 6th, Arthur Panzel 7th, James Neve in P8 with Tom Griffiths in P9, Luke Cooper in P10, Craig Cockrell 11th, and Michael Linscombe Hatsfield in P12. Nick Clibbins 13th, Michael Clough 14th, Sam Smith 15th with Adam Fox in P16. Douglas Stewart 17th, James King 18th with Ashley Stimson in 19th. Glenn Humberstone 20th, Colin Sansom P21 with Simon Robson in P22, James Clark P23 and Mark Oliver P24. Anthony Beck P25 with Stephen Cox in P26th, Ryan Main 27th, Chris Slater 28th and Fiona Siddons in P29. That is your grid for the very first round here, the very first race here at Red Bull Ring. Look at that. What a great looking circuit that Red Bull Ring is. I'm excited to get going. I'm sure you are as well, Ed.
Yeah, definitely. What a front row we have as well. I think this is the first time Andy McEwen has started on the front row for a first race. He's obviously been up there with reverse good races playing into his hands, but first time he's done it on pure qualifying pace. So we'll see what the on racing driver has up his sleeve. Lee Holmes, though, don't count him out in 3rd place. Michael Seal, another Pro-Am in 4th for 40 Racing. And then, of course, the rest of the top 10, Nick Postens, Craig McDonald, Arthur Pansel, James Neve, Tom Griffiths, Luke Cooper, all dice for position in just a few moments' time as the lights come on and we go racing for the first time in BSI history at the Red Bull Ring. A good start that from Jason Cooper, who will lead into the first corner. They all slot in single file until we get, of course, to Craig McDonald and Arthur Pansel all together. Close they go, but I think they've just about sorted it out. Nick Postens getting the better run and slotting in front of the Sabiki Racing driver. The 222 actually loses out, and Tom Griffiths is going to look for a move around the outside into turn 3. Hard on the brakes, but up in front, Andy McEwen, he's taking his chances, and he's going up into the lead of the race, down the inside of Jason Cooper into turn 3. We said it had happened, and he's definitely... It's always nice as a commentator when you get proven right, and I think Andy McEwen is well aware of how good it feels, so he's going to be trying to... prove us right all evening long down the inside. It'll hold that tight line into the next corner, just staying ahead of Jason Cooper, aided of course by the fact that Lee Holmes was going for a move down the inside, threw Jason offline a little bit, and they're still going side by side again now into the left-hander. A much higher speed corner, you have to sweep your way through. Much harder for Lee Holmes to fight it around the outside, so he inevitably loses out. Tom Griffiths has been on a good opening lap, up 2 places out of Arthur Pansel and James Neve. Good little opening lap skirmish. You can see that most of the cars have actually gotten through this all okay as well. I haven't seen any contact or any incident flash up as I know what's happened.
Ryan Main has had a moment. Oh, he just got tagged, I think. Couldn't quite see who that was. Potentially Mark Oliver, the number 023. I think he just got tagged there. Probably wasn't anticipating the pace going through, and small little movement there. Arthur Pansel, they're coming out of the last corner. Look at the drive he's got. Wow, look at the drive he's got on Tom Griffiths. And he's just going to, well, actually, do you know what? It's going to be side by side, I think, though. Arthur Panzer makes it a good move there. Very well timed as they go through up into Michael Linscombe Hatsfield. Well, look at that. Up into P, or he was for a brief moment in, up into P13. But he didn't get quite a good exit out of the first corner. And now he might be getting pushed. Who's that behind? Ashley Stimpson, I believe, might be pushing him along. Saying, come on, off we go. We want to try and get past them together. Is it going to be 3 wide? Is it going to be 4 wide actually going into turn 3? That's dangerous at the best of times, let alone with 40 MX5s. Oh, that was a very, very late lunge. Oh my goodness, 3 wide. Whoa, Ashley Stimpson, what a move. That was a lunge from, that was a very, very far back lunge. Managed to make it stick though. Very good move there for Ashley Stimpson. That was very good indeed. Michael Linscombe Hatsfield, look, he's coming back on him. They're going to go try and go around the outside. I don't think Stimpson's going to leave him any room at all. Oh, that was very wide, though. Do you know what? Linscombe Hatsfield, though, he's not giving up, is he?
No, he is in good little battle, this. And, of course, up in front, you can see now the race leader once again is Jason Cooper after getting ahead of Andy McEwen. I think that was an overtake into turn 3. It's going to be the real zone for most moves to be made. And then, of course, they'll carry on for the rest of the lap once they try and fight 2 wide through everywhere else, and then eventually sort themselves out for the final sector. But look at that, Linscombe Hatfield, very loose, very wide coming through this final sector, and that's going to afford plenty of speed, plenty of overspeed for Sam Smith, who's going to look for a move around the outside, and I think eventually get the position. This was actually the change of position. It wasn't into turn 3. That was my mistake. I thought I saw it happen at turn 3, but it happened much earlier than that. Jason Cooper just sweeping across the front of Andy McEwen, and Andy finds himself going backwards a little bit, thrown out of sync by all of this, and has to slot in behind, take the slipstream and try and close back up to those in front. Lee Holmes is now the driver to close up to and try and take the fight to Jason Cooper in the lead of the race. And while Jason is, of course, fastest person on track, both in qualifying and from what it seems to be in race pace, it's a lot harder when you've got cars behind getting that wonderful slipstream that helps out these MX5s to no end. So will he be able to withstand the pressure? I'm sure that if it wasn't so hot, he'd be sweating from the pressure, but I'm sure the heat is doing other things to him as well.
Absolutely, this is absolutely baking hot, this weather here. I mean, to be fair, it's not much. It's actually not much cooler, to be honest, at the Red Bull rig at the virtual world. Look at that. Actually, no, to be fair, it is. It's quite considerably cooler, actually. 20 degrees, marvellous. That'd be lovely right about now.
Take us to Austria.
It's about to say, I'd love to go to Austria at this moment in time because it is sweltering where we are. We've got a massively hot PC that is working on overdrive, and it's toasty to say the least. Be lovely in winter, not so very nice in the summer. Glenn Humberstone is having a good battle up here with Ashley Stimpson again, who's making some really, really good moves, continuing his run through. He's currently made up 5 positions, so good stuff indeed there from Stimpson. And again, as we see, and as we always see with these races here, loads of little battles going forward. One of the main battles here potentially is going to be Michael Clough and Nick Clibbins are going to go side by side, the side against those. So Michael Clough from RAF. E-Motorsports, oh, he's gone wide. Was that a bit of a tap though? He's been sent round. Oh, he takes out, who was that? He collides
Adam Fox. Who was that involved? I think that was Adam Fox. That was, yeah.
No.
Oh my word. It was just so lucky. He tried to take evasive action, but the pendulum effect from Michael Clough's car, he wasn't able to slow it down in time. It was just the momentum that carried him into the rear of the One TV car. And unfortunately, Adam Fox finds himself falling further down through the field. He'll be trying, of course, to catch up. And as long as he finishes on the lead lap, he will be eligible for the reverse grid race. With the second, third, and fourth race all determined by the spinning wheel reverse grid that will be spun by wonderful down handover. But before we get to that, we've got a race to cover, and we're going to see the driver covering the inside. I believe that to be Ashley Stimpson in the 888 Syntec racing car. But look at this, James Clark. He's going to go for a move now, slotting in the slipstream up in front. You can see the cars going two ahead, 2 as well here. Noah's arcing their way around the Austrian Grand Prix circuit, the Red Bull Ring. And I think both cars that take the inside line take the position. James Clark goes up into 13th place. Ashley Stimpson up into 11th.
Do you know what? That was really, really good to watch. We saw that it was just like synchronized it was almost like watching the red arrows there. It was all just synchronized, moved in at the same time, pretty much identical. That was very, very good stuff. They've obviously been practicing that for a while. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, something happened. We saw a car that was slightly offline there, trying to see who that was. Nothing's come up. Possibly could have been Nick Clibbins, Douglas Stewart, possibly as well. Meanwhile, a little bit further down, Mark Oliver has actually just got past Glenn Humberstone, so Glenn Humberstone's not had a particularly good run. I think he has got damage on the front of that car. It just didn't sound particularly fast, did it? Even the revs that it was making, it just didn't sound all that fast. Yes, he has definitely got some damage on the front of that car. It has seen better days, and as we know, that is a cause for damage here is a very, very sizable, even minor damage can really cause havoc as well. Who was having a bit of a look? Was that Ashley Stimpson? I think
That's
he wants
the
to...
triple... Oh, yeah, it's actually Stimpson going for a move on the inside, and I think we saw a move from the 777, Douglas Stewart, trying to go down the inside of, I believe that to be Linscombe
Hatsford, yeah,
Clibbins.
Let's quickly have a look.
He was blinking in and out quite a lot, which was a little bit worrying. I saw it in the background, and that was what initially drew my eye to it. I think he ended up taking the position in the end, but I'll be hoping that his internet will carry on through. It was all very wide, that from James Clark. He might lose out on both one and maybe an extra position as well as we follow Ashley Stimpson go down the inside. He did lose out to Michael Clough, but now he's going to try and fight back against James Clark. And I think, you know what, he's able to hold on to the position. So the 888 Simtech racing car holds on to 12th, but a good little cutback of trying to get the switchback maneuver, getting the speed out of the corner. James Clark is not quite able to get the run that he was hoping for. And then we've got a battle between Chris Slater around the outside, Douglas Stewart holding firm on the inside line. As you're going to see Chris getting forced out wide. No, plenty of space being afforded between both drivers. Good respect for racing, and what a move, like you mentioned, and sweeping around the outside, carrying the speed. The momentum was there for Chris Slater, and that helped him take 18th place. And he's going to, well, very quickly cover off the inside. Doesn't want to be vulnerable, doesn't want to get forced out at all by the Smicky racing car. Into the final corner they go, and it will still be Chris Slater, but look at the run that Douglas Stewart has already. Chris feels the pressure, and actually I think is going to maybe lose out here because there's such a good run. The 777 follow from Simon Robson's car and see exactly how they pan out into the first corner. Is there a squeeze? No, but there's plenty of track space being afforded by the 777. All of a sudden Simon could get a run on the both of them. He's definitely going to get a run on Douglas. Down the inside, up the long, straight up the hill into turn 7. He could also probably look for a move on the inside of Chris Slater, the 32, but it'd be very optimistic if he goes for it. Instead, tries to hold back the tide, but wow, what a swing that was from around the outside. Douglas Stewart, he doesn't take no for an answer, does he? He goes right around the outside, holds onto position. Good little overtake that. Meanwhile, as well, further in front, I'm noticing Jason Cooper is getting caught by Lee Holmes. As Ashley Stimpson, I think, has had a moment here.
Well, actually, Simpson had a bit of a moment, and so did Arthur Panzel as well. I wonder if there was a bit of coming together, because you just saw Arthur Panzel fly down the field, or potentially, hopefully, no mechanical issues that you received through there. But this is a big, big train here now. Look at this. And I tell you what, the person I wouldn't want to be at this moment is Ashley Stimpson, because that's currently his view in the rearview mirrors, as it would be. That's the gearbox cam. And there is the face of Michael Clough. He might even try and make a run going down through into the last couple of corners. They're going to go side by side. Look at through there as well. That's going to be James Clark, I think, going to have a move. Possibly, I think that's actually Sam Smith. They're going to go through again 2x2 Noah's Ark style. Who is it going to be that's going to come out on top? Do you know what? I think that Michael Clough might actually get it through the last corner. And he does indeed. I don't think there's any position for Stimpson to make a move back round. No, there is not. Good, well-timed move there for Michael Clough. So he now moves into the top 10 spots. Now he is vulnerable this time as well. And I tell you, I don't think, do you know what, Sam Smith might actually be hassling Stimpson as well. It's very hard to, it's very easy actually, I should say, to lose 2 or even 3 places, because you need to, it's what I was talking about earlier on at the start of the race. Momentum is so key here. If you don't have momentum, it all goes completely, it can go downhill really quickly. But Stimpson now versus Michael Clough again. It's going to be last of the late breakers. Is it going to be Daniel Ricciardo style into the late? Oh, I thought that was going to be a potential moment there.
It's always scary, isn't it, when you see a half look down the inside. Michael Clough, well, it was a bit of Willy Won'ty into turn 3. Decided that he wouldn't for this time around. As we come into the final 3 minutes, and maybe chooses to fight some other time. Look at these two side by side in the background. Down the inside, are we going to see Nick Clibbins take the position from Anthony Beck? Oh, it's close, but I think he does get it. So the Syntec Racing driver goes up a position. Nick Clibbins, good move. That Nick, who's as well, I believe, had his first race victory of the season at Zandvoort earlier on. So he's been on a good run of races, good little turn of form. So keep your eyes open for Nick Clibbins later on in the evening. Maybe his reverse good races could play into his hands. Oh, I think we saw a little bit of argy-bargy between Sam Smith and Michael Clough there. They were very close, weren't they, coming through the right-hander? Maybe the lines coming together a little bit and then having to try and sort each other out. No. Nick Clibbins gets the run, and actually is that Michael Clough dropping off and into the pits? That is. So something's happened, I think, to Michael Clough. Is there a penalty that he wasn't able to serve in time, gave him a drive-through? Did he have damage that gave him a meatball? It certainly didn't seem like it. His car looked in good shape, so very intriguing there from Michael Clough. Hopefully we'll be able to find out what happened to him that meant his race was ended prematurely. But for other drivers, the race won't end prematurely. It'll go right till the end. 1.5 minutes still to go as Adam Fox goes down the inside of one car. Oh, I thought it was going to go down the inside of another, but he almost either took out or got taken out by Simon Robson.
Not ideal. I mean, either way, there was contact. Luckily, both drivers continue to go on their merry way, but that could have been very, very tricky indeed. What's going to happen here, though? Because look at that. Sam Smith now finds himself nearly at the front of this train. Ashley Stimpson, this has done very well to hold everyone off for the moment, but he might lose out. Sam Smith has got the inside. Number 227 Gatton Simsport car now goes round the outside, just coming out of the second sector as they go now through into turn 5. Do you know what? Unless Simpson can actually make a move, he's a 10th behind at this moment. He's going to try and send it up the inside, but Sam Smith is having absolutely none of it. Cracking move, well set up there. Took a couple of corners, but he managed to get it in the end. Very good stuff indeed. Look at that, just pitching the car in sideways as all the drivers barrel it through. This is how you drive MX5s. You drive them absolutely on the edge, and you drive them with the rear of the car. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, it's a good little bit of kit, these MX5s. These drivers certainly have got experience in handling them. As I was about to mention, Jason Cooper comes across the line to start the final lap of the race with Lee Holmes in hot pursuit. 1.5 seconds separating first from second. Then they've got a bit of a margin between themselves and Andy McEwen as all. Ryan Main and Fiona Siddons are going for a bit of a scrap. Fiona, well, she's going to look around the outside and then instead go for the switchback maneuver. This could be a great move from Fiona if she's able to get the drive out of the corner, but she doesn't, has to slot in behind Ryan Main in the end and maybe bide her time going in for a move into turn 3, but she might already go for it into the first corner. Is she going to get the position on Ryan Main? Tell you what, she does. Is the run sufficient, though, to stay in front through turn 3? I think she might just have it, but it could be close. Speaking of close, there's so many drivers close behind. Andy McEwen looking for third place, as well as up here, Adam Fox forced the long way around the outside as Chris Slater seizes an opportunity, goes for it, but then the drive out of the corner just isn't there for him, so he loses out. And then into the final half of the lap for the top 5 drivers, Jason Cooper will lead ahead of Lee Holmes and Andy McEwen. He was able to hold on to the podium places, aided of course by the slipstream of Lee up in front. Meant that he could keep Michael Seal and Tom Griffiths at bay. Look at this, Tom Griffiths down the inside of Michael Seal into the final couple of corners. Thinks better of it, backs out, tap of the brake lights you could see there on the run into turn 2. He's getting a lot of speed through, but he just can't find anywhere to use it. And through the final corner they will go with Jason Cooper, the race victor. Keeps it tight to the pit lane and gets the race victory. Good race that from Jason Cooper ahead of Lee Holmes, Andy McEwen, Michael Seal and Tom Griffiths. Top 10 will be completed by Sam Smith, but Ashley Stimpson will just finish in 11th ahead of Nick Clibbins. And then in the background, look how close these drivers were across the line. Seeing Adam Fox ahead of Chris Slater, Simon Robson, and Mark Oliver there in 21st. And I think Fiona Siddons, is she just going to finish ahead of Ryan Main? I think she did on the final lap. Good little battle that between Fiona and Ryan. And it was that move by Fiona into the first corner on the final lap that saw her seal 22nd place.
Indeed, a very, very well executed move. Just managed to get the run going out of turn 1. And as you say, managed to hold it from there. I believe that is everyone. Glenn Humberstone comes home in a very sorry looking MX5. Hopefully it does not look like that next race. But Jason Cooper, indeed, taking race 1 victory. Fantastic stuff indeed. That was very, very enjoyable. I said, and I will take that, I said that these cars will work very well at the Red Bull Ring. It's all about keeping that momentum. We definitely saw some good racing, but the track is also wide enough. Someone like Alton Park, which has got a fair few sort of medium to high speed corners, but it's very, very narrow. With something like here, it's wide enough that you can, as we have seen, 3 wide, potentially even 4 wide in some places. So this is a really, really good little track, and I think it really works with these cars. So I'm excited for the next 3 races. Speaking of which, actually, Ed, we've got to do the old spinny wheel.
Yes, we certainly do. So we'll find out where race victor Jason Cooper will start the second race of the evening. The wheel is up on your screens, and well, it will certainly start to spin. Chance, of course, for a full reverse grid on the table. But where will it land? Where will the drivers find themselves? And it is a small one, the smallest one we have on offer, a top 11 reverse grid. So that's going to be a comfort for Jason Cooper. He knows he can overtake. He could try and get 2 races on the routes, and don't care about. He has looked very quick this evening, getting pole position by over half a second. He's definitely one to watch, but I think we have seen all drivers come into the pit. So, Dan, talk us through the finishing order for the first race of the evening.
Absolutely, here we go. So, here is your finishing order for the first round. Apologies, this is not your finishing order for the first round. Instead, we should be seeing, as it just comes up in but a few minutes. Here we are. So Jason Cooper taking the race win. The number one. Lee Holmes in second place. A great drive from him, making up. Only made up 1 position, but to be fair, 1 position, especially with how close this field is at the front. Very good stuff indeed. Andy McEwen in P3 with Michael Seal in P4. Tom Griffiths in P5 with Craig McDonald overall P6. Craig Cockrell 7th, Luke Cooper in 8th, Nick Pothans in P9 with Sam Smith rounding out the top 10. Ashley Simpson, all importantly, P11, he will be taking pole position for the next race. Nick Clibbins in P12 with James Clark in P13. Anthony Beck P14, Michael Linscombe Hatsfield in P15 with James King in 16th position. Douglas Stewart 17th with Adam Fox in P18. Chris Slater 19th with Simon Robson in P20. Mark Oliver, P21 with Fiona Siddons in P22, making the move on Ryan Main on the last lap, going through into turn 1. Michael Clough, P24 with Glenn Humberstone, P25. Arthur Panzo, unfortunately not able to finish, with James Neve and Colin Sampson not able to finish either. So Glenn Humberstone will be taking the last round of points for race 1. And that is your full reverse, that is your full results for race 1. And then looking forward, actually, to be fair, Ed, I think the P11 that we have seen, and that P11, it's going to shake the grid up a little bit, but it's not going to shake the grid up, I think, significantly compared to what we have seen in the past in some of these races.
Yeah, it's been relatively clean, which is good to see. Maybe that's aided by the fact that a lot of the drivers, I think we've got just about 30 car grid, so maybe some drivers, of course, we know that Ben Sharp is missing due to work commitments. I think other drivers as well, like Adam Shepherd, have work commitments, along with many others. And of course, they're probably enjoying the great British weather that we've been treated to. And you know what? Who can blame them? It's been the first time that we've had good weather. And of course, probably as well aided by the fact that things have started to open up again. So drivers might be hanging a little bit from the fact that nightclubs were open last night. That could be another factor into it, Dan. But of course, we will not be hungover. We'll be still out there in the comms box for the second race of the evening. I can't see any drivers coming through to have a chat with us, so stay tuned to Absolute Sim Racing. I'll be back in a few moments' time for the second race of the evening. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Absolute Sim Racing. We're here for the second race of the evening on this sixth meeting for the BSR Tegiwa MX5 trophy, where we saw Jason Cooper take a brilliant race victory, class of the field, pole position by some margin, and while he lost out early doors to Andy McEwen into the third corner, he was able to fight back through and lead the first lap, and then the subsequent ones to come to take a much needed race victory, especially considering his nearest rival in the championship is again not here this evening. So that, of course, raises the question of, do we have now a new favourite for the championship in Jason Cooper? He's been looking very quick, has taken the most race victories out of any driver so far this season, and it's looking very difficult to try and stop him.
Well, I think to be fair, as you say, it's going to be all the time that Ben isn't here. As you say, that's just going to allow Jason Cooper to pull a bit of a gap, even if he doesn't necessarily win all of the races, or even if he's in P5, P6, P7, he's still pulling gap. He's still pulling a gap, and he's catching up, and ultimately then obviously pulling away again from Jason Cooper. From Ben Sharp. So anything that he does here, as long as he scores points, it's a benefit to him and a hindrance to Ben Sharp.
Yeah, so of course we'll be keeping our eyes on the championship battle as it progresses throughout the season. It's looking like a very close one as well. Whenever Ben Sharp, Jason Cooper, and as well plenty of others in this championship come on form, they look very quick. So we'll hope to see all of the championship protagonists, all of the top drivers out on circuit again. Of course, real life always comes first before sim racing. You've always got other commitments that drivers have to worry about. But this evening, everyone's focus at the moment is going to be firmly on this second race of the evening. You can see the grid up on your screens now. Nick Postance will be starting from the front with Andy McEwen second place, which I don't think is right at all, actually. I think we've got, again, the warm-up results. And I think the actual results is Ashley Simpson, Sam Smith, Nick Postance, Luke Cooper, Craig Cockrell, Greg McDonald, Tom Griffiths, Michael Seal, Andy McEwen, Lee Holmes, and Jason Cooper, with Nick Clemens running out the top 12. Here comes the James Clark, Anthony Beck, Michael Linscombe Hatfield, James King, Douglas Stewart, Adam Fox, Chris Slater, Simon Robson, Mark Oliver, Fiona Siddons, Ryan Main, and Michael Clough. And then the final few drivers, Glenn Humberson, Arthur Panzel, James Deave, and Colin Sansom, round out your 28-car grid for the second race of the evening. Ashley Simpson there. He'll be on pole position, trying to get the best run possible to beat out the likes of Sam Smith, Nick Postance, and, of course, Luke Cooper into the first corner. We saw Jason Cooper do it first race. Will Ashley Simpson get a good start as the race gets underway? And I think the answer is an emphatic yes. He's able to get the jump on Sam Smith. Sam will inevitably slot in behind into the first corner, and they all make their way through single file. Craig Cockrell actually with a good run, able to get the better of Luke Cooper into the first corner, so it's already position made up for the number 9. And then look at this, the train of MX5s in the background. Lee Holmes on the inside in the 3588 tech car, wheel to wheel with Andy McEwen. He's going to have to go the long way around, as well as we see Tom Griffiths look for a move. I think that was Tom Griffiths. Yep, going for a move on Michael Seal. Andy McEwen gets the move done around the outside of Lee Holmes. Tom Griffiths wasn't able to take the move down the inside this time on Michael Seal. So they're all dropping and changing, slotting in and out. Also, it was actually Luke Cooper managed to get one back on Craig Cockrell. So those positions have changed their own. And actually, I think Nick Postance, has he had an issue or something? He's dropped back quite a few places.
Yes,
now
indeed.
we're seeing Sam Smith, Luke Cooper, Craig Cockrell, and actually Michael Seal all going by here.
Yeah, Nick Postance, just have a quick replay of that while we see. Let's just have a look at actually what happened. I think he just goes a tad wide.
Ooh.
Yes, unfortunately. Nick Postance just caught a little bit when he caught some grip mid-corner or something like that.
There's a bit of a bump, I think, from a move down the inside, and unfortunately 2 into 1. Well, it doesn't go, does it? We saw that well, at the weekend, and I think we've seen it maybe to a lesser degree here at the Red Bull Ring. Gemma Siddons, though, she'll be looking to climb up the field as well as being aware of the fact that there'll be some quick challenges behind her. The likes of, well, the year one TV of Colin Sansom and Glenn Humberston in the 88 Tech 21 car. All looking for moves through, but actually Fiona Siddons is going to go for a move on Mark Oliver up in front, and she gets the move done rather easily. Good overspeed coming out of the final corner as they want to move her up through the field. And then further, well, everywhere else, it's all kicking off, isn't it? I think Fiona, has run very wide, and she's going to lose out, unfortunately, to both Colin Sansom and also Glenn Humberston. She'll slot in behind, pick up a little bit of slipstream, of course, and maybe try and hold back any challenges. But I think by running so wide, she actually picked up a slowdown, so has lost out yet another position. It was such a good start to the race for Fiona, making up a couple of places, but slowdowns on the opening lap in iRacing, they are very vicious, aren't they, Dan?
Oh, yes, I have been caught by a few of those more times than I care to mention. And it's never a nice feeling, as you say, especially at the first lap, because what it does, it bases off of your average pace, I believe. And obviously, it can't take anything because it has no data. So it just takes, really, just lunches you with a very, very slow lap time as well.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember, actually. I can't remember if it was actually your pace or if it was the lead pace. I thought for a moment we were going to see Michael Seal and Tom Griffiths come to blows and take each other out of the race, but I think they managed to settle it out. And as soon as I say that, it all kicks off in the background. Andy McEwen takes to the grass.
Save.
I think it was cross wide. He saves it, loses a position, but it's much better losing out on one position. Oh my word, he almost came to blows though with James King, and wow, that was a very scary moment there. Thankfully, all drivers managed to get through that in one piece.
I genuinely, how on earth that happened, I will never, ever know, but it does indeed. Let's have a quick look at the replay, see if we can get on board. What happens here? Michael Seal just... do you know what? I didn't really think he had much place to go. He was going to go on the grass otherwise.
Was it maybe down to Jason just looking it down the inside, or was Andy McEwen squeezing Jason left over the circuit?
Yeah, it could very well
be. It's difficult to see, isn't it, from that onboard shot? If we can maybe get
else.
One final replay, maybe an outboard shot. We don't want to spend too much time on this because I'm seeing a sea of orange on my timing software. Here we go. So this is Andy McEwen. He sees an opportunity around the outside. Then through the second of the consecutive left-handers, he gets a good run and then looks for any sort of space he can. And actually, there wasn't Andy McEwen there. It might have been Tom Griffiths and Jason Cooper just squeezing left, trying to force each other off the road, but then actually not realising, hang on a minute, Michael Seal's also in the picture, and he's around the outside being, well, hung out to dry, unfortunately.
Yeah, all I do is just, again, 3 cars don't unfortunately fit into one space. But all drivers managed to keep going. That is the main thing. Just having a further look up and down the grid again, there's battles absolutely everywhere. One of the ones to really look out for.
I just noticed Andy actually managed to get back ahead of Jason Cooper this time around. He's actually right up behind. This is Tom Griffiths now, and Tom's actually looking very racy, isn't he? Trying to go down the inside. Dominic Postons.
You might have a quick look, 2 more corners on this particular lap. And it's nothing happened yet. Oh, Tom Griffiths getting a little bit sideways still on the inside, though. And you know what? Just managed to get around the outside. So Tom Griffiths, Nick Spolton still managing to keep around the outside. But that now has left. Look at Andy McEwen and Jason Cooper. They're going to go side by side. Is Andy McEwen going to box him in? I think he might try to. But he hasn't got the run, though. Jason Cooper has got the run. Is he going to try and dart out? I don't think he's got anywhere to go. That's a last-minute lunge for there. That'd be why, because Andy McEwen has got damage on the front of his car. So that would be why he was losing out on pace there. He has got some sizable damage. Look at that, because Michael Seal is just going to probably drive past him at this rate. Look at that. He's right up his back bumper, giving him a little bit of a push just for good measure. And
he seems to be all right. I think he was a lot slower out that corner because he did clart the curb massively on the run into turn 1. And now he's being shuffled back through the pack again, holding the inside line. That gives him a compromised run down the straight. So I don't think it's damage. I think it's just he's always being forced to the inside, not able to make the moves. So that gives him compromised runs out of all the corners onto the long straight. So he's been shuffled firmly back through the pack, and he's going to look to try and have a better run up through the field in, well, the final 9 8.5 minutes still to go in this race. Luke Cooper, though, fourth position, looks to try and find a position at the order, but then drops back down into fifth as, well, Nick Postens takes a very good committed line down the inside, forces him out wide, says, nope, this is not your corner, I'm taking this, and you'll have to try and fight this one another day, sunshine. And you know what? I think Luke Cooper definitely be taking it on the chin and looking to get through sooner rather than later, because look who's arriving on the scene right behind him, Tom Griffiths, a very racy looking Tom Griffiths, because he's got race one winner Jason Cooper breathing down his neck and getting a very good run out of the final corner. You can see the extra speed he's getting on the power nice and earlier, carrying that momentum like you said, Dan, which is crucial at this Red Bull Ring circuit. Is he going to go for it down the inside into turn one? Yes, he is. And has he got the move? I think he might have just done. Yes, he has. So he gets up the order, as does Ashley Stimson fighting with Sam Smith. And I think those have just about sorted out between the two of them. But look at this in the background. There's two Gaton Simsport cars along with, well, a very... Oh, I thought we were going to see a bit of a send down the inside to make it 3 wide. But no, they ended up sorting it out. The Rapid Motorsport car choosing discretion, being the better part of valor. So Nick Postens not licking the stamp and sending it, because you know how finicky the post can be. Sometimes it says same day delivery and then it comes 3 weeks late.
Well, it's very, very true. But I think, to be fair, I just noticed as well, Luke Cooper did move past Jason Cooper, did let Jason Cooper by. So that's actually one thing to keep an eye out for. So Jason Cooper now up into P5. Luke Cooper now in P6 as we've got here. That was a bit of a moment there, wasn't it, for Sam Smith? I think he was getting a little bit caught up as well. Meanwhile, again, Tom Griffiths is keeping ahead of Lee Holmes and James King, who are going to go side by side. Again, the track is wide enough that you can do this. You can still keep the momentum up. You don't have to necessarily hug it to the inside. You can get a nice wide line and still carry that speed all the way through. There's 3 cars up ahead, and that's from Luke Cooper, Andy McEwen and Tom Griffiths. That's just one big long MX5. To be fair, the entire train here, I can't imagine these drivers are actually separated by more than about, if we just switch to the gap, look at that. So the top 10 are only separated by about 3.5 seconds. That's not a lot at all. But again, is it going to be side by side? It is indeed, between Lee Holmes and James King. And who's going to come out on top? It is Lee Holmes. So he sweeps around the outside, and that's now allowed Michael Seal to go up on the potential inside. He's got the track position there, and so has Nick Clibbins. He's got the... no, that's Arthur Pandel, sorry, just behind as well. So is Arthur Pandel going to make the move stick? Yes, he does. But it's not over yet. There's a bit of contact between Seal and King there. Oh, this is going to be very close. Look at Nick Clibbins, though. What a run that he's got all of a sudden. So he might even try and make a move on Michael Clough just behind there as well. As we can see, do you know what I think would be good through here, riding on board? Let's see how it all unfolds, because Nick Clibbins has got front row seats here to everything that goes on. No, unfortunately, I think... that's not good. Michael Clough just looked like he came across Nick Clibbins' nose there. It was a bit tricky to see because we only saw the last minute of it. But that's what it looked like from that angle.
Unfortunate. Michael Clough just becomes Michael off in that scenario, isn't it? Into the third corner. It was a tricky situation. It was always going to end in tears when drivers maybe make a late move, maybe try and come back across onto the racing line. And of course, iRacing's contact system can sometimes make small contacts into big incidents. So we'll see, hopefully, if Michael kept out the barriers and could keep it going. At least if he finishes on the lead lap, he will be eligible for points and the reverse grid pole position. Look at this, though. Jason Cooper, he took a little while for him to get out the grid, but now he's really motoring along, isn't he? Trying to find any space through along the outside with Ashley Stimson. He's already got his nose ahead, but Ashley's going to fight down the inside into the second to last corner. Very close there, seeing the front and rear bumpers. And somehow Jason Cooper managed to get through that without contact. I was worried for a moment as soon as he came across the nose through the corner with Ashley Stimson that he misjudged it. But I think he knows better than I do the length of an MX5 because he got that move done brilliantly, I have to say. And all of a sudden, there's only 2 cars and 3 and a bit minutes to go, separating him from race victory.
It is indeed not too long. To be fair, I'm just looking. We haven't really chased camera angle. To be fair, we don't really need to because all the action is kicking off. We have got action a little bit further down the field, one of which is going to be Tom Griffiths. And who's that in front? That's Michael Linscombe-Hatfield. They're going to go side by side down into turn 3. Well, they go through turn 2, but turn 2 is completely flat. It's a negated corner. You just ignore that. But what's happened there? Andy McHugh and Ashley Stimpson, they've had to come in together or something's happened. They're both absolutely flying down the field. Oh, that is a big crash into turn 3 as well. I wonder if 5 or 6 cars tried to go into one space there, and that's not good at all. Luke Cooper and Jason Cooper now are currently fighting, as well as Lee Holmes. But yeah, let me try and see if I can get some replays of that, because that is, it's shaking up the field. Look at Craig Cockrell. He's now up into P1. Nick Postman's P2. Jason Cooper in P3. I wonder if Cooper's just going to be sitting here and just taking this position. If he can make the move, great. But if not, it's still going to be a good point stall for him. No, he's going to completely ignore what I'm saying. He's going to try and go for the move anyway.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see Ashley Simpson getting involved in that incident because he was in a race-winning position not 2 laps ago, up in the lead of the race, and unfortunately his race has just gone from bad to worse. There's a bit of a coming together. Jason Cooper and Nick Postman's come to blows. Jason Cooper wins out on this occasion, but that was very scary stuff on the run into the second to last corner there, Dan. I'm not sure, again, what's going on in that area of the track. Maybe the drivers, they're just fighting so much for track position, coming into those all-important double right-handers. This is an on-board with Ashley Stimpson. And let's have a look here.
Oh, he gets tagged.
Oh, it's the smallest cut. And actually, Andy McEwen gets a tap up the rear. So it was the smallest of bumps from Andy, nothing in it. And then all of a sudden, an extra tap as all the cars slow down from, I think that was one of the Gaton SimSport cars. And it all just kind of was exacerbated, wasn't it? And, let's see if Jason Cooper can get up into the lead of the race. And, there's another bit of contact in the background.
What a save.
Craig Cockrell gets a nudge, but is able to keep the car pointing the right way. And actually, that might have helped him, gave him an extra burst of speed through the corner. Very loose at the rear, but he manages it well. Keeps his nose just ahead of Jason Cooper, but Jason with the inside line through this right-hander. Is the number 9 going to sweep it around the outside, go for the switchback? No, he can't quite get the run. So the race lead goes to the number 1 for the second time this evening. But will he be able to hold on? You can see Craig Cockrell is breathing down his neck, trying to close in. And I'm still, really reeling from all of that stuff that happened at turn 3. We saw the smallest of taps between Craig and I believe Rapid Motorsport car of Nick Postman's. They all got through it in one piece. And, another day, that might not have been so nice.
No, I think to be fair, you got to look at this from, this is the problem as well when you go through. It's just there's such small margins, and they all just sort of congregate and all come down together, and then before you know it, one tap leads to another tap, and it all concertinas up. And unfortunately, we did have a couple of big losers on that particular instant. It's a shame. It does happen, and hopefully everyone can reset and keep going. Nick Clibbins versus Adam Fox going into turn 1, and that is Nick Clibbins going a little bit wide. Has opened the door right up for Sam Smith. So he might be having a look. Do you know what? He's already passed Nick Clibbins. Doesn't need to make any sort of fight at all. And he's going to have the run all the way now down into turn 3. That's going to be. But what's happened here? Craig Cockrell has just gone past Jason Cooper. Potentially going to go around the outside. Carbon copy what he tried to do last lap. I don't think he's done it. But I tell you what, though. He is giving it a good old go. This is the last lap, bear in mind. This is it. So this is Craig Cockrell's best chance. It's going to be coming down. If he can cut down to the inside and maybe make a last-minute lunge or drive Jason to make a very defensive line, which he is doing. If I were him, I would be pushing him all the way to the inside as much as I could, but he does go a little bit wide, try and get the cutback. No, he is not successful this time around. He's only got a couple more corners left, but Nick Postman's is now going to have another quick look around the outside, and then behind him, just but a few meters back, is then Lee Holmes as well. This has really kicked off, although there has been a bit of a break. Cooper and Cockrell have now broken up ever so slightly between Postman's and Holmes, so this is going to be really, really close towards these final couple of corners.
Cooper has been consistently the strongest person on the circuit in this final sector, and I think he's been able to build the margin back up to Craig Cockrell, so it's going to be Jason Cooper's victory, but what of Luke Cooper and Michael Seal in the background? I think they've just about sorted themselves out, so Jason will round the final corner for the second time this evening and takes his second race victory. 2 on the bounce from Jason Cooper this evening. Takes a well-deserved race victory. Had to work for it, though. Close battling between himself and Craig Cockrell in the dying moments of that race. Good stuff, though, all around. It was unfortunate we saw a couple of incidents that really shaped the course of that race. Of course, that moment we saw Ashley Stimpson and Andy McEwen, well, crash out of the race was unfortunate, but hopefully they all finished on the lead lap. I think they all did. So, of course, with a decently sized reverse grid, they could find themselves scoring some very good points in the third race. That's just still to come, of course, in the next 15 or so minutes. That will get underway as Fiona Siddons is final of the finishing drivers to take the checkered flag. Jason Cooper, though, great drive from him. He had to work for it, didn't he? Craig Cockrell wasn't giving up without a fight. Great stuff from him. And also, not enough is actually being said, he had a very anomalous race. Arthur Pansel, making up 21 places.
I tell you what, Arthur Pansel, yeah, he did. I still don't actually know, to be fair. We still don't know what happened to him at the start of the race, which obviously isn't ideal. So, yeah, I just don't really know. It could have been a hardware failure, it could have been an internet disconnect. That's a thing that has plagued some drivers occasionally. It's also, I'm sure we both been in that situation. That's one of the most frustrating things when it's something out of your control. But I mean, to be fair, yeah, making the move straight back up the field. Let's say 21 positions gained. Another person that gained quite a few positions is James Neve as well. So he moved up 16 positions. So good stuff indeed there from James Neve. So he's really making some moves. Like I said, started in P27. And he is up in 2. Like I said, he was overall in P11. So really good stuff from him. We are, in but a few moments' time, going to be able to bring you the final results.
But of course,
yes.
Before that, we don't want to get too carried away with ourselves. We have the all-important reverse grid spinning wheel is up on your screens, and it is going to spin. Now we can see who will find themselves at the front of the grid, and it's a top 34, but with 28 entrants. That is effectively a full reverse grid. So drivers that we mentioned that didn't have the best of races, as long as they finished on the lead lap, or no more than, but get your words right, Ed, trying to figure out the rules. So it's a hot day, you can cut me some slack. Let's start that again. Any drivers that finished under 2 laps down. So finishing 1 lap down, you're still eligible. 2 laps down, white out. You're not allowed to be eligible for points or the reverse grid. Any drivers that are within the rules are able to, of course, get that reverse grid pole position. But we will be able to run you through the finishing order and find out exactly who will be on pole position for the third race. Jason Cooper, though, he'll be starting all the way down the back after taking his second race victory of the evening, winning by 3.77 tenths of a second to Craig Cockrell, who takes the Pro-Am victory ahead of Nick Posters, who completes the podium, and Lee Holmes fourth, that takes third place in the Pro-Ams, completes the Pro-Am podium. Arthur Pansel, like we mentioned, had a great race, up 21 positions to finish fifth ahead of Luke Cooper, Michael Seal, Adam Fox, Nick Clibbins, and Sam Smith, who complete your top 10. 11th place, we'll see James Neve ahead of Ryan Main, Tom Griffiths 13th, Craig McLeod 14th, Michael Linscombe 15th is best of the AM drivers, ahead of Simon Robson, James King, the pro driver, and Glenn Humberston, another AM, who rounds out the AM class podium. Only 14 seconds actually back from virtual race winner, so still very close racing all around. Then we come down to, I believe, 19th place. Get that working. Hopefully. There we go. We can see now further down the order. Ashley Stimpson, Michael Clough, Mark Oliver, Anthony Beck, Douglas Stewart, Fiona Siddons, Andy McEwen, Colin Sansom, and James Clark, who will start this third race on pole position. So the Swift Cooper Esports car, we saw one take the checkered flag in first place, we'll see James Clark take the green flag in first place. But that's still all to come on Absolute Sim Racing. No drivers lining up for any interviews with us, Dan. So again, we will go to a short break and be back for all of the racing action. Still to come, 2 more races left on Absolute Sim Racing. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Absolute Sim Racing. We've already gone 2 races into this 4-race meeting for the 6th round of the BSR Tegiwa MX5 trophy. 2 races that have been won by Jason Cooper, but I don't think he's going to be able to win this 3rd one on account of it being a full reverse grid. Plenty of opportunities, of course, for drivers to make their way up through the field. But I can't see him making up over 20 positions in the space of 15 minutes. It's certainly stranger things have happened, though, Dan.
Do you know what? That's definitely the best way to put it. That's definitely one way to put it. Yes, we have seen some very, very interesting races in the past, and we've seen people that have made up 23, 24, 25 positions. So I wouldn't count it out, although yes, we do have to be a little bit careful with it all, because it may very well one wrong move, if you're on a charge that of like that, one wrong move and it just goes completely wrong, because you have to be driving at 11 tenths all of the time. So there's always that risk versus reward, and you've got to be careful of that, and you've always got to be cautious. It might very well work out. At the same time, though, it might not. You've got to weigh these things up. Again, Jason Cooper, every time he's on track and every time he's scoring points, he's pulling away from Ben Sharp. So he's just going to want to continue doing what he's doing, and possibly even just play it a little bit more conservatively for this race.
Yeah, so we're going to see how drivers approach this race. Of course, 4 reverses are a little bit different to 11 reverses, and as we come to the end of practice, we won't have to wonder, we won't have to speculate any longer. We'll be able to get right into all of the action. Of course, Ashley Stimpson and Andy McEwen will find themselves starting higher up the grid than they finished on account of their incident late on in the 2nd race. There's a small consultation, of course, with the fact that they will be starting higher up in this race, and we'll be able to see them getting up to the grid very shortly. And as I say that, well, up to the grid right about now. And
Indeed.
We can see the grid up on your screens here, Dan. James Clark on pole position ahead of Colin Sansom, with Andy McEwen and Fiona Sins making up the 2nd row. Douglas Stewart, Anthony Beck, Mark Oliver, Michael Clough, Ashley Stimpson, and Glenn Humberston round out your top 10, with James King 11th, Simon Robson 12th. 13th place and the 7th row sees Michael Linscombe Hatfield ahead of Craig McDonald, with Tom Griffiths, Ryan Main, James Neve, Sam Smith, Nick Clemens, Adam Fox, your top 20. 21st, Michael Seal, Luke Cooper, Arthur Pansel, and Lee Holmes, with Rick Posters, Craig Cockrell, Jason Cooper, and Chris Slater rounding out the field. But in about 5 seconds' time, the lights will come on and we will go racing. So let's quickly move to the front of the field. And this man, James Clark, pole position. What can he do on the opening lap? Will he be able to hold on through the 1st, 2nd, and more important, 3rd corner? The lights come on, the engine notes rise, and we go racing here for the 3rd time at the Red Bull Ring. It is, I think, a good enough start from James Clark to stay in front into the 1st corner. Andy McEwen getting the better of Fiona Siddons and already looking hungry in the rearview mirror of the Here One TV car. Getting a good run out of the corner as well, closing in. Meanwhile, in the background, look at that, 4 wide. We can see, I think there's one of the 4040 cars in the mix, along with Arthur Pansel. James King closest to us on the right-hand side of the screen. He's trying to make his way around the outside in the RFE Motorsports team. And you know what? I think he's going to get just ahead. Oh, as I say that, I'm not Oliver, but there's contact in the background. A massive incident. We saw Tom Griffiths, I think, involved in that one. Potentially Luke Cooper, I think, has been able to pick his way through it.
James Neve didn't.
James Neve certainly didn't. Yeah, he's down the order. Craig McDonald as well. Several drivers all caught up in it as Andy McEwen goes through into the lead of the race, muscling his way past Colin Sanson. I think we just caught the tail end of that move. And yeah, Mike Oliver off the circuit.
Indeed, not ideal. Douglas Stewart, though, look at that. He's currently racing alongside Anthony Beck. We've got Fiona Siddons as well, currently in P9.
Oh, there's a big incident in the background. Stimpson out. I think Beck as well might have been involved. Stimpson's falling down the order. Something's definitely happened. to the Triple Eight, the car that, let's not forget, like we mentioned, was in a winning position last time out of the second race, but this evening just seems to be going bad to worse.
It does indeed. It's not going particularly great, is it? We do see that these reverse grids do spice things up, maybe just a little bit too much, especially at the start of the race. Arthur Pandel, though, he's got some damage on his car. The 222 has seen better days, kicking up some dirt on the exit of the last corner. So again, he continues on his merry way. Nick Postance, though, versus Adam Fox. What is it going to be? And it's going to be Nick Postance. Doesn't even have to try. Instead, he just drives past Adam Fox, who is nursing some additional damage. Not good at all. Right, now we've got a potential bit of breathing room, and who was that? That was Adam Fox. No, Adam Fox had his own moment coming out of turn one. Must have hit the curb in an awkward way and just pushed himself around. Not good at all. That's a big, big shame there for Adam Fox. Hopefully he can get the car going again with minimal damage.
I can't resist the urge. Adam is... Well,
Andy McEwen's had it off.
Oh, no, Andy McEwen's had an off as... Well, Adam... Well, he... foxed up that first corner, and I think Andy McEwen has had a moment as well. I want to see if we have a replay potentially of what happened with Andy coming in. Well, we can see him now trying to fight his way back through the field with Anthony Beck and Fiona Siddons up there with him. Not sure where on earth it all went wrong for Andy. He looked good at the front of the field, so I don't know, maybe if was it through turn 3, do you think? Was that contact?
Turn 3, I think. Well, I'll tell you what, we've got a potential bit of breathing room as well. Fiona still, oh my goodness, Arthur Pantel's going all over the place. He's blinking out, going to the third dimension, but he's back now. Fiona Siddons, unfortunately, has to drop back.
I think Fiona Siddons was just as scared as Andy was by the blinking.
I'm not surprised.
Car in front of Douglas Stewart, and I think Douglas Stewart, he's actually holding the inside line, defending from McEwen, who looks to sweep it around the outside, isn't able to get the move, instead looks to the inside through the final corner. Will he be able to make it work? No, he doesn't. Will he be slow out the corner and be vulnerable to Anthony Beck? I think Andy's just about gotten away with that, and has actually got to focus on getting past Douglas Stewart. Now he's got his nose ahead into the first corner, and he's going to get the move done nice and firmly on the brakes. But again, the speed out of the corner isn't there for Andy. And all of a sudden, there's several cars lining up to take that position back. In none of that, definitely not least, the Jason Cooper right up behind the slipstream of the number 4. Into turn 3 they go. You know Jason's going to be late on the brakes, committed into turn 3. Looks to try and go through, but had to afford space because there was a car down his inside, and then all of a sudden that run around the outside has worked wonders for Jason. He's got the speed and could get the position on Douglas Stewart, and I think, you know what, he's got his nose ahead. He'll be firmly in front into the braking zone. Good little move that from Jason Cooper.
Indeed, very good. Well, like I said, I'm talking about this 3 wide going into turn 4. Are they all going to make it through? Yes, they do.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness, 3 wide. Managed to make it stick. Absolutely fantastic. The person that made the most of that was Nick Postance. So he's maintained P8. Great stuff there. Really, really good. Just enough room given to every single person there. That was a bit of dust kicked up. Couldn't quite see who that was. But again, it's still going to go side by side, possibly between Craig Cockrell and Sam Smith as they go side by side still. Who is going to come out on top? These, bear in mind, well, they were for a brief moment. They're teammates, bear in mind, Craig Cockrell and Sam Smith, but Cockrell is the person that does manage to keep out ahead. Jason Cooper's actually already got past Andy McEwen. So you know what I was saying that Jason Cooper, we've seen people make up 23, 24 positions in a race. Jason Cooper's already made up 22, and we've got 5 minutes and 40 seconds have gone of this race, and he's already passed Andy McEwen. So he's got a 3.5 second gap between himself and Michael Clough. Keep an eye out for that gap, because it is, I'm sure, going to come down. But yeah, let's have a quick look to see if we can have, because this was the initial crash. This is James Neve first off. So again, go through. I mean, just gets him, unfortunately, just caught in the moment. And I wonder if that was I think it was Simon Robson.
Whoa, yes, the second moment, actually, just as we cut away, there was a second moment for James Neve. So let's have a look what all kicked it off. Oh, it was... Yeah, contact between Cy Robson and one of the Rapid Motorsport cars. That was actually, having a look through, that was Craig McDonald in the 85. And then we can see he was involved, that number 7 car, another incident off the road there. Here's another moment. This is Mark Oliver. We saw him off the circuit earlier. Keep your eyes on the 88 Tech Orange. Down the inside, both cars going for the apex. And, well, that's certainly what happens when both cars fight for some on-track space. And then that was Ashley Stimpson coming to blows with the 777. Ashley was already kind of losing it. And then Douglas Stewart, I think, arrives on the scene.
Yeah, just probably just maybe doesn't anticipate how much the car was rotating and how much pace was being lost there. This is Lee Holmes as well. And I believe the next one after this is going to be Andy McEwen. Yes, it is.
That's Lee Holmes' tonal damage. I think he's pulling off the road.
This is what happened with Andy McEwen. So you were right, Ed. It is in turn 3. And what happens here, I wonder, is it going to be just a little bit too... Oh, he gets a tap. Oh, no. I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, as it goes...
Spills it out.
That was a very, very stylized way to get out of that sort of... that little moment there. So fair play indeed. I tell you what, though, back on the action, though, we've gone through all the replays that we've got again. Cockrell versus Smith, side by side, 2 teammates. Who's going to come out on top this time? Actually, no, it's still Craig Cockrell. So he still comes out on top. But that was a big moment. Those sausage cups can really, really hurt you if you're not careful. A little bit further back, though, look at that. Tom Griffiths, James King, and I believe that is Ashley Stimpson as well, trying to make a recovery. Currently in P14 now. He's dicing between P13 and P14. Last late breakers.
Dear.
Who is it going to be?
Into turn 3.
Oh, I can't look.
Well, I'm looking and I'm through, hands over my eyes. That was very close there. The RFE Motorsport car, James King, gets it on the inside, but loses out on the run. Down the hill they go. The 888 Syntec racing car of Ashley Stimpson seems to get the better run. But around the outside into this next corner, it's so difficult to hold off any moves. I think, you know what, though? He squeezed the 23 onto the apex, forced James King to slow it right down to avoid the contact. And by doing so, he was able to stay in front. So put a lot of faith in James King, did Ashley Stimpson there, to make sure that there was no contact. This is actually a replay of Andy McEwen. I noticed that he got ahead of Jason Cooper. Jason, I think, picked up a slowdown coming out of the final couple of corners. Running wide, got penalised by iRacing for it, and has unfortunately dropped back, but I think he's right up there yet again, closing in. But maybe it's in Jason's best interests not to fight too hard with Andy. They're both quick, they're both catching up, but actually, if Andy McEwen makes a mistake through the corner, you know that Jason Cooper's not going to slow it down just to let Andy recover it all, get it all back up to shape. No, Jason's going to go for it. So into the first corner, Jason Cooper takes that position. I think Andy McEwen conceded the place, dropped back, and instead focused on getting a good run out of the first corner all the way down through turn 2. The nice sweeping right-hander. Went through a little bit of a left-hand kink before coming to the braking zone here into turn 3. A little look down the inside from Andy McEwen, but not going for the moves just yet. Instead, focusing on the task at hand, which is catching up to the front runners with only 5 minutes to go. Tom Griffiths sending it down the inside this time on Ashley Stimpson. Tom, I think we saw, didn't we, at the start of the race, involved in that unfortunate first lap, third corner moment. He's been able to get it up and running though, and back up into 14th place. One position better than where he started, so good drive from the TJ Motorsport entrant. Have a look at other drivers having good races through the field. Nick Postance up 18. Craig Cockrell, we can see in the Gaton Simsport number 9 car, up 15. He's going to look to try and make it 16 with a nice little switchback manoeuvre, rarely seen at this area of the circuit. But you know what? He's got the run. He's got the speed through the corner inside line for the next. He takes that place. Great overtake that by Craig Cockrell.
Really, really good stuff. Timed it to absolute perfection. Just got enough of a cutback. Happy days. Jobs are good and no mess there. So, again, yeah, really good racing as always, as we have seen between and in this group as we go through now. Again, Colin Sampson is now trying to fend off Jason Cooper, but for how long? Jason Cooper already pulls out to the outside. You know what? There's 4 minutes left. There is. He can see the top 3. He's in P5 at the moment. Just going to bump up possibly to P4. Last late breakers. Oh, he has a bit of a look. Bit of a cheeky little squeeze there. That might cost him a bit of time. You might even get another slowdown for that. I'm not too sure where the track goes. No, I think he is all okay. Tries to pull out the slipstream. And I think he manages to get by. But more importantly, he has put a position. No, he has not, because Colin Sansom He's going to want to try and make the move on the way back. Might even leave possibly Andy McEwen to have a bit of a look as well. Jason Cooper might lose out on one, possibly even two positions. No, he doesn't. Bit of contact. Yes, he does. And Andy McEwen goes, thank you very much. Does not need a second invitation. And Andy McEwen jumps back up into P5. More importantly, back past Jason Cooper. So I think the clean sweep here for Jason Cooper is looking a little bit less, but he tries to have another lunge. Andy McEwen cuts his nose off, which he is entitled to do because the move was not there. So Andy McEwen just about cuts him off, but Jason Cooper has still got a run on him. I just cannot actually believe this. Jason Cooper is still ahead. I don't know what he's got in that car and what traction he's running, but he's definitely round the outside going through turn 6. What a move there for Jason Cooper. And straight away, his clean streak for this particular race is back on. If he can pull the gap now, he's got 2.1 seconds, and then he's got to pass Michael Clough, James Clark, and Glenn Humberstone, who's currently leading, which we haven't seen a lot of him. Oh, this is going to be close for these last final laps. But he needs to make sure he's nice and controlled now. He can't afford any more mistakes for the rest of this race.
What a difference a couple of corners makes, eh? It was almost over for Jason Cooper on his pursuit of a podium, his pursuit of the clean sweep. Driver that last, I think a few seasons back, maybe last year, was almost able to take a clean sweep of race victories, but just wasn't able to make it across the line. At the final corner was where it all came undone for him at, I believe it was Road Atlanta. But here, the Red Bull Ring, a new circuit. It could be the new age for Jason Cooper in this BSR Tegiwa MX5 trophy. If he's able to bring it across the line and take the race victory, we might start to talk about the potential for history to be made here. That'll be a real way to christen this new circuit for the BSR race series. Look at this in the background. James King going for, well, holding on to 23rd place is in the background. That's his teammate Anthony Beck going for the move, getting the move done on Tom Griffiths. Good little overtake that up into 12th place, but Tom Griffiths, he's going to fight it back. See the cars there fighting their way through for track position, trying to find any space they can around the outside. Tom Griffiths is going to try and fight it, sweeping through, carrying the speed. The momentum is there for the number 11, who holds on to 12th and looks to get up into 11th place. And then Ashley Stimpson for Simtech Racing down the inside of the 77 says, thank you very much. I'm going to take that all day long. Climbs up the order. So, oh my word, it's just gone from bad to worse for the 77. Look to be trying to get up into 12th place, but all of a sudden finds himself down in 15th. And hello. Look at all this up in front. James Clark, Glenn Humberston, and Michael Clough are about to start the final lap with Jason Cooper right there with them. The top four separated by under half a second. They're making their way across the line. It's going to be 2 wide, maybe even 3. Yes, Jason Cooper, he's going to go for it. This is his chance. He cannot give up. He needs to go for it and has to hope that there's no contact going through turn 1. He's going to get a good run as well on the rest of them. 0.6 of a second now between first and second place. Jason Cooper's getting the hurry up from behind as well. I think that's James Clark pressing him forwards. I think James Clark is as well, actually. Teammate of Jason Cooper is egging him on to get the race victory, then drops back as Andy McEwen sweeps it around the outside, gets through, but there's contact. No, in the background. McEwen is spun around. I think he's been able to. No, he hasn't. His car is backwards coming out of turn 3. Drops down the order. Unfortunate for Andy McEwen. He saw a move, went for it. It just didn't materialize. Only a couple more corners to go. The final half a lap for Jason Cooper, who's going to find all of the track space he can right out to the outside, down the inside, closing in on Glenn Humberston. Glenn, who's going to be looking for his first race of victory ever in BSR. Jason Cooper, hungry for the clean sweep. This is going to be monumental at the end of the race. You know that Glenn will try and do all he can to hold on. Jason looks to the outside, isn't able to find it, goes for the inside, but the car is parked there on the apex. Glenn is doing a brilliant job of defending the race lead, but now we have 2 more corners to go. Glenn makes his intentions clear, goes to the inside early, but Jason Cooper looks for it again. Can't find any space through. Only 1 more corner now for Jason Cooper. Can he find the space through? Is there an opening? No, there won't be. Glenn Humberston will round the final corner. He runs wide, as does Jason Cooper, using all of the circuit. Glenn Humberston will just come across the line to take his first ever VSR race victory, denying Jason Cooper the chance for the clean sweep. But what a drive from Glenn, up 9 positions, up to the front of the field. Take a bow, sunshine. That was a brilliant way to earn your first race victory in the VSR Tegiwa MX5 trophy.
I do you know what that's a round of applause there for Glenn Humberston. That was just fantastic to watch. Again, great stuff from Jason Cooper as well. Just about pressuring him as much as he could. There was no more pressure. He couldn't have pressured any more. If he pressured any more, it would have been contact. And he just manages to keep it off. So clean racing for both of them. But I mean, Glenn Humberston, that is, if that's not a contestant for the driver of the day, I mean, it has to be, I think, Ed. I think we can both unanimously agree on that. That was an absolutely fantastic little bit of driving. This is the thing as well. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to defend really quite aggressively. If anything, he had an absolutely perfect positioning of the car as to not drive too defensively, and then also not driving and not taking, leaving the door open potentially. Just put the car where it needs to be, put the car back over where it needs to be, back on the racing line, especially going through the last 2 corners. If he'd have stayed on the inside, if Glenn had stayed on the inside to cover off, then what Jason Cooper would have probably done is made a cutback going through down into the last corner. So again, by not actually defending, that definitely contributed to be able to for him to be able to keep up the momentum going through the last couple of corners. So I mean, honestly, that was a perfect piece of defending. Glenn Humberston, I'm sure he'll be absolutely ecstatic with that.
That's his first time finishing on the podium. Takes the top step. What a drive that was. We're going to follow a replay here of Andy McEwen before we obviously come to the reverse grid results. And it was just, I mean, the car on the inside can't really disappear, can it? Poor Andy, though. It was a bit of a contact door to door. It's very strange to see a car loop itself around like that with contact like that. But that's just sometimes the way it goes. The reverse grid then is up on your screens. Where will Glenn Humberston find himself starting for this next race? The top 14 reverse grid, Dan. And, well, that will round out the evening's race in the 4th and final race. We'll see the top 14 reversed. Hopefully we can see Glenn Humberston come in for an interview after this 3rd race. I saw him pop in earlier. Hopefully he's maybe gathering his thoughts. Maybe about to hop in once we've done with you, Dan, who's going to run us through the finishing order for an amazing 3rd race.
Absolutely. The 3rd race results are now on your screen. So that's not the race results. I don't know what I'm looking at. That should not be up there. Apologies. Give us a few moments and then we will be able to give you the actual finishing results. They should be coming up in a second, but they seem to be having a little bit of a moment there. So we're going to try and get that back for you in a second. Well, I mean, to be fair, actually, while we're trying to get that sorted, Ed, I think from your perspective as well, I mean, Glenn Humberston, now realistically, his mindset is now going to have to completely change, starting in P14. I mean, that's going to be a very, very, he's going to be very elated with that, naturally, as you would be. What's the difference is now that he has to go, because you've got to try and you've got to try and push that emotion now, and you've got to try and forget about it almost in a way to then focus subsequently on the final race.
Yeah, it's very difficult, isn't it? There's a lot of things for drivers to try and think about, really, isn't it? There's so much that goes on. Apparently, though, I'm hearing that Glenn Humberston didn't win. Did he have a slowdown or something that he wasn't able to serve? No, he's been denied at the final moments. I think, you know what he did? He had a slowdown at the end. But he couldn't serve, maybe ran a little bit too wide at the final corner. He looked like he was basically on par with Jason Cooper, but it wasn't to be.
Oh, no.
Heartbreak for Jason Cooper. But that means we could see history in the most amazing fashion. Somehow, Jason Cooper could come through and take a grand slam. It looked like the dream was dead, but all of a sudden, it is game on with a Swift Cooper Esports driver who find himself starting in 14th place, easily doable. And of course, with Luke Cooper, his teammate, who'll be starting on pole position in 14th place in this race, it's all to play for. He could find himself taking a Grand Slam of race victories on BSR's first ever time to this circuit, the Red Bull Ring. Oh, I cannot wait. I really cannot wait, Dan. So we'll go to a short break. The server's up, I think, for the 4th race. And stay tuned to Absolute Sim Racing. We could be about to witness history in the making for the BSR Tegiwa MX5 trophy. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Absolute Sim Racing for the fourth and final race here at the Red Bull Ring. Round 6 is almost done and dusted. That means we are nearly halfway through the season already, Dan. We've had some excellent races all evening long. Ones that Jason Cooper has taken the checkered flag first, or not taken the checkered flag first in all of them, but taken the race victory in all of them up until now. And with a 14 reverse grid, he could find himself standing at the top step of the podium for a fourth time, getting the Grand Slam, which is something we've never seen before in the history of BSR Masters.
Well, I tell you what, if he can do it, fair play indeed, because as you say, it's going to be a very, very tall order. Although, I believe that it is. Jason, he's not starting too far down the field. I believe it was the top 14
reverse grid, yep.
So it's not definitely without a shot. We'll have to see, obviously, and only time will tell. We've got 15 minutes to go, pretty much, and then we are going to find out. But more importantly, what is going to happen to... I'm actually intrigued to see what's going to happen with the championship standings. Because if Jason Cooper gets maximum points, I mean, he is just going to be miles ahead.
400 points. That is basically 100 points for a race victory. He's currently sitting on 300 points for the evening. Nick Boston's the second best driver with 245 points over the evening, with Craig Cockrell 242 points. There's a second and third best drivers with Nick Clibbins 214 points, Michael Seal 212 points, fourth and fifth best drivers. Now, enough of all of that, enough of how the evening's gone so far. We get to see how the evening is going to go with a front row of Luke Cooper and Anthony Beck, with Tom Griffiths, Sam Smith, Ashley Simpson, Andy McEwen is up there as well, James King, Douglas Stewart, Colin Sansom, Craig Cockrell there, rounding out the top 10 with Nick Clibbins and James Clark in 12th. Nick Postens, Jason Cooper, 14th place, will look to get up the order and take a final fourth race victory ahead of Michael Seal, Simon Robson, Chris Slater, Michael Clough. Glenn Humberston, unlucky not to win last time out, drops down to 19th place. That's where he starts ahead of Arthur Pansel, James Neve, Ryan Main, Fiona Siddons, and Adam Fox. And then the final few drivers you can see on your screens. But we go to the front of the field now, as in a few seconds' time, the racing will get underway. Luke Cooper from the front of the field. He will lead them into the first corner, ahead of Anthony Beck, Tom Griffiths, and Sam Smith. You can see the lights come on, and for the final time this evening, we go racing here at the Red Bull Ring. Good start that from Luke Cooper. Anthony Beck maybe loses out a little bit as Tom Griffiths gets an absolutely amazing start. We'll look to go through, maybe try and make it 3 wide into the first corner on the opening lap. Not to be. And Andy McEwen, he gets a worldly start. That was what he'd be hoping for. Already up a couple of places. He could try and make it a third place, as he's down already the inside of Ashley Simpson. He's got his nose in front. Andy McEwen already up into third place. Good start that from the year one racing driver, committed to the inside. Is he going to get a bump from behind? That was what he was worried about. It's not been his day, Andy, in the second and third races, but he's all right. As you mentioned, I think Anthony Beck, something's happened to him down the order.
Not entirely sure what. Could have just been, again, the dreaded turn 3 cold tyres. Not exactly what you want. But as well, we do have now James Clark. He's just been passed by Jason Cooper. He cuts off the inside line. And Michael Seal wants to potentially have a bit of a move around the outside as well going into turn 4. I don't think the move is there. No, it is not. So Michael Seal has to slot back in behind. Jason Cooper, though, already back up. And he's made up 3 positions back into P11. Could even be possibly moving up into P12 very, very soon. Ryan Main just going to go up the inside, around the outside, around the inside of Michael Linscombe-Hatsfield. They're still side by side, with Linscombe-Hatsfield currently having the main track position at the moment. But, oh no,
oh
big
my
accident.
word.
Oh my goodness, how on earth did Ryan Main and Michael Linscombe-Hatsfield get through there? That's a car that's off in, that's a very broken car, several broken cars. What on earth happened there?
I didn't want to say it because I thought I'd jinx it. The racing so far this evening has been very clean. We've not seen massive incidents to big degrees, but unfortunately I think we've just seen one there. A lot of the field involved in an incident. As oh my word, the 777 of Douglas
Jason
Stewart
Cooper.
is going slowly. Yes, it's Jason Cooper. He's down the order. Is there damage on Jason Cooper's car? He's dropping down the order into 16th place. Let's have a look. So he's down the inside on the number 9, gets the car through just about. That was a move on Craig Cockrell that saw him spin out and actually around, and that was what caused all of the action further back. Just a small amount of contact really that kicked it all off, and then we'll follow Chris Slater through. He looks to try and get through and then just gets clarted by an evasive Michael C. I have to say, he wasn't malicious, he was just trying to get out of the way. And I think Jason Cooper is back up to full pace. He doesn't seem to have any damage done to his car, but he is a long way back from the lead of the race. We'll see a replay of what happened between himself and Douglas Stewart. Oh, Douglas just loses it all by himself and through no fault of his own. Jason Cooper gets tagged, spins it around, but he keeps it going. He gets the car up and moving. It doesn't look like there's too much damage done to his car. He's already back up into 15th place. The race lead, how far up is it from Jason Cooper at the moment? I'm just trying to have a look. I can't quite see the exact number. Here we go. So
seconds.
Jason Cooper, 12 seconds. That's a bit of a margin. But as long as there's fighting up in front, well, he could find himself still in contention. Don't count him out just yet. Look at all this in the background. James King, Ashley Stimson, all together, as is Luke Cooper and Andy McEwen. Has Andy McEwen actually been involved in something? Because he's dropped back down the order. He was up in 3rd place for a time in the race.
Ooh, what a move there by Ashley Stimson. Sorry, just saw the replay of that move that happened but moments ago. That was a cracking move there. As you say, Andy McEwen has dropped down a little bit, so I'm not entirely sure why that has happened. Just having a look through the event tracker, but nothing's really sort of coming up. So possibly as well, just a couple of maybe just a slower exit on coming out of turn 1, possibly. Not entirely sure, but he's going to try and make himself back up into 5th position. He's just got past Colin Sansom down into turn 3. Is he going to be able to maintain this position? Round the outside, yes he does.
Nice stuff there from Andy McEwen. Like we said, qualifying, 2nd fastest person out on track, and with Jason Cooper down the order, not harassing, not bothering Andy McEwen for the moment. This is his perfect opportunity to get up the order. He already took a podium in the first race of the evening. He's going to look to make it a 2nd trip to the podium. This time, though, hoping to be on that top step as we see James Clark in the rather fittingly Red Bull liveried car at the Red Bull Ring for Swift Cooper Esports. Right up behind the 222 of Arthur Panzel. Trying to find a way through, but doesn't seem to be any openings. There are Michael Seal as well, looking close in the background, trying to find his way through. Doesn't seem to be anything for him at the moment. And I've had a little bit of a look through the event view. Unfortunately, Glenn Humberston, he was involved in that incident, I believe, in the pit. So the driver that came so close to winning race 3 only to be denied it from running a little bit too wide at the final corner. Literally a few inches that separated him from glory from his first race of victory. And it's just gone from awful to catastrophic in this final race. But still, it was an amazing drive for him, I have to say, on the performances we've seen. Obviously, barring any things that weren't in his control, he did a great drive, and he's probably up there as candidate for driver of the day.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely as well. Back now currently to the action that we see on the screen. James Clark is having a bit of a ding-dong with Michael Seal.
Whoa!
Michael Seal! Oh, no! Oh, my goodness. Oh, Jason Cooper. I think Jason Cooper just got involved.
Jason Cooper head-on impact there with, I believe, that was Simon Robson spinning around in the background. Jason Cooper looks to have his dream of a Grand Slam just crushed in front of him as his car, the front of it we see now, just crunched up. We can see this. Michael Seal, the track does move to the left-hand side, but I think he just comes across the nose. And then, well, there's only one thing that Jason Cooper can do in this situation, is just keep going and cross his fingers. There's no way you can really predict the angle of a spinning car. You never know when the wheel's going to grip it up and send the car in any given direction. This is on board with Michael Seal. It's tricky to see, isn't it, exactly what happened there. Both cars fighting out on the circuit for position. You just see what a sickening impact that must have been, though. They were so close, fighting all the way through. It just wasn't to be, was it? Another replay, this.
I mean, it just happened just at the bot. I just have a feeling that Michael Seal just drifted over a bit too much. Just wasn't quite, obviously, trying to squeeze, but maybe just a fraction too much, it looked like. And it just caused a little bit of, it's a shame, because it was, again, no malicious intent or anything like that behind it, but it was just a little bit of miscalculation possibly. But at the same time, though, it's easily done. I'm sure, again, we've all been in that position and all been in that situation. It's a very, very tricky thing to do, and plus, as you said, the track goes around to the left, so I do feel for Michael there as well.
Yeah, it's so difficult as well when you're going at the speeds these guys go. This is probably the highest speeds these MX5s ever get up to on these straights, you know. So it's very easy for us in the contracts to say, "Oh, you could have given a bit more space," but in those situations when you're behind the wheel at that speed, you don't really know exactly where the car is. It's just probably in his blind spot. Even if he's running triples, the car is there or thereabouts, and it's so difficult to know exactly where it is right on the rear quarters of these MX5s. But of course, that's not going to be any comfort to the drivers we saw involved in that incident. Simon Robson as well was an innocent bystander that got caught up in all of the action. He's not going to be happy about everything that's gone on, but that's just sometimes the way things go. You find yourselves caught up in accidents that weren't your fault, you had no business being a part of, but of course, that's what happens in racing. Incidents happen. It's something that I think a lot of people, cough, F1 Twitter need to realise is that, you know, it's happening in racing, and that's part and parcel of it. No one wants it to happen, but sometimes that's the way it goes, and when good racing happens, we can focus on it like we're seeing now. We can follow Ashley Stimpson going through final couple of corners, and Andy McEwen right up the rear bumper of Luke Cooper with 6 minutes to go in this final race of the evening. Tom Griffiths looking good to take the race victory, 2 seconds clear of James King, but the rest of it is so close back from James King, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, and it's just going to be ever so more as well. We just got Michael Linscombe-Hatsfield. He's having a really, really good battle here between Fiona Siddons and Mark Oliver as well. So these three drivers having a real good scrap, which again we're seeing up and down the field, which is always fantastic to see. Racing throughout, which is exactly what we want. Luke Cooper actually is relatively close. Andy McEwen's actually relatively close as well, if I'm being perfectly honest. So that's going to be an interesting battle to keep an eye out for. I think Luke Cooper's catching up to Ashley Stimpson as well. And you know what? It might actually not be too far away. Here we go. So this is it. Ashley Stimpson is at the front of this little train here. Luke Cooper just behind. And then just behind that is Andy... Actually, no. What am I talking about? No, apologies. Luke Cooper is currently as well. He's just had a bit of contact with Andy McEwen. They both continue, but that's now allowed Nick Clibbins to go through. I tell you what, it's definitely not Andy McEwen's day, is it?
No, but the car was there on the inside. I think Luke Cooper did a good job parking it on the apex, as he's, well, definitely allowed to do. Here's a replay this time of Adam Fox. I believe that was him just straight up vanishing.
Yep, ignore that. Popping into the fourth dimension. Just ignore that. We come back to your live racing here. I tell you what, we were talking about this earlier in the break, weren't we? It does go quick, this race. Probably 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah, it's almost the end of the evening somehow. It's gone through very quickly, but it's not the end of the battling out on the circuit as Ashley Stimpson and Luke Cooper trying to go at it. But Nick Clibbins is even closer behind. You can see number 5, the other Syntec racing car, trying to get up the order, trying to find a way past Swift Cooper Esports driver as Andy McEwen. Look at that, he just sends it into the first corner. It sticks for him. He gets such a better run than the rest. Very committed on the run into the corner. Gets the toe down this straight up the hill into turn 3. And he's just going to have to be hoping that all these cars in front battle and slow each other down. And he can maybe climb up through the order and bag another podium. Look at as well how late he was on the brakes. Takes the late apex. Late on the brakes, late on the apex, and it seems to work out for him. Close up behind. Is he going to try and follow Nick Clibbins through along the inside of Luke Cooper? Luke could be in danger of getting shuffled back through the pack. He's going to try and hang it around the outside, isn't he, Dan? look at how late he was on the brakes there as well. Amazing stuff there. He's able to get through as Jason Cooper, very slow off of the circuit there on the inside line, gets through. And oh my word, there's a massive checkup. Andy McEwen does brilliantly to avoid contact, keeps his foot pinned to the floor. Evasive action required to get past the brake check Luke Cooper, it feels like. And Nick Clemens is now got the year one racing car behind him for company.
Indeed, yeah, I think to be fair, obviously that little moment that Luke Cooper had with Nick Clemens, just a little bit, to be fair, tried to obviously naturally, it's easy to do as well, you sort of like, you panic a little bit, you try and jump on the brakes just in case you have any additional contact. So, I mean, in a way, he was trying to avoid it as best he could. But yeah, the quick water boatman reactions that Andy McEwen has managed to stop him from having a incident there. So very, very, very well played there by Andy McEwen. But now, as you say, that's now moved him up.
I've never heard Andy McEwen likened to a water boatman before.
They're very quick reactions, you see. Very quick reactions.
I guess they must be, but I'm not sure Andy McEwen will be very happy to hear that. I'm sure that he's the water boatman skating his way along the surface of this water-like track, this tarmac.
You're putting it down on this metaphor, okay? Let's just roll with it, all right? I'm sure Andy will be fine.
This, lake of tarmac that snakes his way through the Austrian hillside and down the inside. James King snakes his way through, keeping on the tight grip to second place. Trying to obviously keep Ashley Simpson and Nick Clemens at bay, the two Simtech Racing teammates. They don't want to get held up with each other. They want to try and work as best they can. Part of me thinks that maybe Ashley Simpson is going to try his best to maybe work a way through for Nick Clemens, but actually, no, he's going to go for it all by himself around the outside, couple of wheels onto the gravel. But I think he will just about... No, he isn't. He doesn't hold on to the position. And now he's going to be squabbling with his teammate, which is one thing you don't want to do. If they slow each other down, Andy McEwen is going to happily take up a position. And, well, he finds himself, actually, Andy, down the inside of Nick Clemens. Is he going to get the move done? No, not yet. Nick hangs it around the outside, then to the inside. Battling wheel to wheel. Ding-dong stuff here in the final few moments of this Red Bull Ring race, the final race of the evening, as Tom Griffiths comes across the line to start the final lap. James King, Ashley Simpson, Nick Clemens, Andy McEwen, Luke Cooper will all be dicing for position to find out who will be on the podium.
Well, I think, to be fair, not long until we find out. Tell you what, if Andy McEwen plays his cards right, he could very well just allow Nick Clemens and Simpson to have a bit of a battle, especially if Nick can get a good run.
So could Luke Cooper as well. He's in the background.
Yeah, this is very true.
If he gets a good run, which he does do actually through the first corner. Look at that. All slotting in nicely behind one another. We had the Catalonian Caterpillar. I don't know what this is. The
well, I tell you what,
I can't really think of anything that's Austria or.
Look how Luke Cooper! Look how late
Red
Luke
Bull
Cooper is on the brakes. He just manages to, a little bit wide on the apex though, but it doesn't really matter. You've still got a good amount of traction on the exit through there. I mean, this is front row seats here for Luke Cooper. Oof. He is just going to sit there and just watch the rest of it all unfold in front of him, and hopefully pick off anything that he can. But I tell you what, it's not going to be too long before we find out if it is going to be a thing. They're going to possibly 3-1 Andy McEwen sideways as he goes on entry near enough. That was very, very well car control. That's actually Simpson. He's got a little bit wide. That's going to allow McEwen to go through, and James King, and possibly Nick Clemens as well. So a small.
And he could take all of them here. He's going side by side with James King into the left-hander. He's going to be forced wide. He's going to try and carry the momentum through the corner. He's got the run. You can see the time delta coming down and down and down. They go into the left-hander for the final time of asking. Andy McEwen ever so close. He's got the run this time on James King. James going to go uber defensive to the inside line. Andy's forced to go around the long way through the final couple of corners. It's anyone's guess of who's going to take this position. Andy McEwen to the outside, sweeps it through, isn't able to hold it around the outside. James King, great steadfast defense as Tom Griffiths. Well, we didn't focus too much on it, but he's had a great race up at the front of the field. James King comes across the line in second place, and Andy McEwen, what a final lap it was for him, making up the places to get onto the podium. And I thought of a thing that we could use for the Red Bull, but I don't know if Red Bull ringworm kind of works.
That's probably not. Look how he started Tom Griffiths. Do you know what? I think that's... he didn't have much screen time. I don't really think he's going to care. if I'm perfectly honest, he's not really going to actually. He's not going to be too fussed, is he? Because of the race that he has had, taking that win by 5.7 seconds. It goes to show if you can make a break
No,
and people behind you battle, you can make up an incredible amount of time.
for some reason, part of my brain thought that he'd already won this season, but he hasn't. That was his first ever race victory of the season. He's taken 5 trips to the podium, 13 times in the top 10, but never once on the top step of the podium until today. So Tom Griffiths, he had a very anonymous race. Shame that he didn't shine the spotlight on him enough from what his performance obviously warranted, but the action was really close up behind for those podium places. We were treated to an absolute ding-dong, weren't we? Seeing Andy McEwen and the 2 Simtech Racing drivers, and finally Fortune has smiled on Andy. He's had a poor couple of races midway through the evening, but has come back, shown great determined spirit, as has Tom Griffiths as well. Don't forget, he was up the orders at some points, then involved in incidents, found himself dropping back through the field. Don't forget, I think he was involved in that big incident on the 3rd race in the first lap, wasn't he? He fought brilliantly to get into contention, had a favourable reverse grid qualifying as a result, but that does not take away from the excellent race victory that we were treated to from Tom Griffiths. Takes his first victory of the season. You know what? It's been a long time coming. I'm surprised that it has taken him to get to the 6th race, because he's shown pace much better than this all season long. He finally gets what he deserves, Dan.
Absolutely, really nice when you get your first win. It's always something that you remember when you're in like a specific league. Like you remember it in your official racing as well, but it's always that little bit more special, I think, when it's in a league, because you race with the same people, you get to know them, you get to, you develop a good amount of respect for all of your sort of co-drivers, and yeah, it's always that little bit more special when you win in a league that you've been participating in. So fair enough to Tom Griffiths. Very good stuff indeed.
Yeah, definitely. He's obviously won a few races in seasons gone by, but this is his first time in the summer series, the summer BSR Tegiwa trophy. Tom Griffiths there. Confirmation that he's taken his first race victory by healthy margin, almost 6 seconds clear of James King and Andy McEwen. Andy, of course, who takes the Pro Am class victory, and Ashley Simpson. What a drive from the Am drive. We're up there, almost on the podium places up until the last lap. They're finishing in 4th. Obviously, race victor in Pro, or not in Pro, in Am, rather. Racing like a pro, though, isn't he, with their pace like that? Nick Livins there, 5th place ahead of Luke Cooper, Sam Smith, Ryan Main, James Clark, and Colin Sansom. Adam Fox in 11th place, ahead of Michael Clough, Michael Linscombe Hatfield, Mark Oliver, Fiona Sithers, Nick Posters, Douglas Stewart, and Jason Cooper. Unfortunately, first of the non-finishers. What a rate of attrition we've had in this 4th and final race. Jason Cooper down 3 laps. You can see the rest of the field as well. Arthur Panzel down 5. And Glenn Humberston, while he didn't, of course, win the 3rd race, you know what, Dan? He still won our hearts with that performance, with all of his races earlier on as well. It'd be so cruel to not let him have something to celebrate our thieving. So you know what? Let's give him driver of the day from just having that race victory cruelly snatched away from him. It was such a good drive, wasn't it?
I mean, to be fair, you can't knock a drive like that. He put his car exactly where it needed to be. He put his car exactly where it should have been. And, just, you can't, you really can't, you can't knock it. That was just such a cruel way to end it, unfortunately, but that is the name of the game, and I'm sure this has actually given him some really good confidence as well. I think that's the key thing, is the confidence that it has given him, and I'm sure he will be back ready to go for next week. And either way, you just got to hold your head up high, because so many things could have happened then. It's a learning experience, I think. It's a learning experience, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely a experience that drivers have to come. So you can see the driver of the day, Glenn Humberston. He's been a really well improved driver as well since his introduction to the series. He's come from strength to strength, and it's good to see him fighting up the front. Obviously, aided by a first grid, but don't forget in that 3rd race, he still made up 8 places to get to 1st place by the end. So he did it purely on merit as well. A great drive from Glenn Just unfortunate that he didn't have the classified results to cheer about after all of that. But again, Tom Griffiths taking his first race victory of the season. That's also another great shining example of this series, that we've got so many drivers that have taken race victories. I'm just going to try and figure out how many we've had, but there's certainly been a fair few, let's say the least. There's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers in total having taken race victories, and we're only in the 6th round of the championship, so plenty of action still to come. Even one driver, though, that has been best of the field, taking 11 race victories, and that was Jason Cooper. Let's see how many more he can add to his total on a week's time when we go to Watkins Glen, a circuit that demands a lot from the drivers, but of course is one that there'll be plenty of action at as well. Dan, I cannot wait.
Me neither. It's going to be fantastic. Watkins Glen's a great circuit. Again, it's a little bit narrower, I think, than Red Bull Ring in some places, so it's going to be a little bit more tricky to navigate around, although there's going to be some good opportunities. However, going up the hill for the first time, drivers need to be careful. I have seen several incidents through there in the past, and the last thing I want is for anything to happen there. 30 cars going through there, that's going to be a tricky one. I'm sure everyone will be fine, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be scary stuff, I think, in the opening lap when they come up through the S's for the first time of asking. But you know what? I reckon they'll be able to get through it near enough unscathed in most of the races. That's about the most I can say with any degree of certainty. And even then, I'll probably get proven wrong, Dan. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Absolute Sim Racing. Unfortunately, we don't have any drivers coming in to have a word with us, so I think it's time for me and Dan to stop sweltering and can finally turn on our fans after all of this has been said and done. I've been Ed May. Dan Andover has been in the commentary box with me and also broadcasting this race on Absolute Sim Racing. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a share, give it a like, subscribe to Absolute Sim Racing, because have the next round of the UK and Ireland Radicals race series on Thursday still to come with myself and Dan, talking you through all of the action. If you're not tired of us already, make sure to tune into that. But from Dan and myself, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.